YouTube, back doing a Larry Bird making a case video, highly requested. I know. You know, I can't get to everything, but I'm gonna get to this one right now. We're gonna showcase Larry Legend. You know, see what the case is for him being the GOAT. Let's get into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Basketball is special. The size of the court and the lack of pads or helmets give fans the most intimate experience of a team sport that exists. And because of the different styles that basketball allows for, players develop their own distinct identities and signature styles through their creativity, flair, and athleticism. And although no player succeeds alone, the scoring volume and two-way nature of the sport give individual stars a nearly unprecedented amount of control over the flow and outcome of a game. For this reason, players are constantly compared to their peers and to the legends of the past in order to answer the most hotly contested question in the sport. Who's the greatest to ever do it? For many, the question is redundant. They believe in only one right answer, their answer. Others might have their own personal stance, but acknowledge one or two alternatives. But I believe that there's much more nuance to the question of greatness and more answers to it than you might think. By my count, there are 8 players in NBA history that have a substantial claim as the GOAT. It's a subjective thing, though. I can't give you a definitive
It's subjective.
answer. All I can
Everybody
do
got
is
their
make
own
the
opinion.
argument. So today, I'll be making the case for Larry Bird as the greatest basketball player of all time. When it comes to basketball, Larry Bird is the smartest, clutchest player to ever play the game. Now, if you don't think that Larry Bird is the greatest basketball player of all time, you probably hate that I just said
Crazy
that.
play.
Those are the kind of talking head sport cliches that surely impact the game but are impossible to empirically measure. Normally, I'd agree with you, but I think that when you talk about Larry Bird, you see those intangibles become real, palpable results. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe it. When Larry Bird was drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1978, the NBA needed saving. Attendance was in the toilet, the league had few marketable stars, cocaine addiction had several players in
Cocaine.
the and most damning of all, playoff games were being tape delayed. Playoff games at the highest level of basketball were being put in the back.
I know back in the days, players used to drink, smoke right before games. They still came out and they still went perform. So I don't know. Players back in the day was built different. You know, they used to play all 82 games. They used to play hard for that contract. You know, players nowadays are, you know, giving everything before they could even perform. And it's crazy. But, you know, it's the way the game is today.
For black and white movies and network reruns. But rather than join the Celtics after being taken 3rd overall, Larry Bird decided to return for his final year at Indiana State, a decision that would prove to be one of the most important in the history of the sport. Bird's final year saw the Sycamores tear
Another reason that
basketball, going 30.
He stayed in college. Another reason that, you know, helped him elevate his game and mature, you know.
Before the national championship game. Bird, already claimed by the NBA's most historic and prestigious franchise, had established himself as the generational talent who would inherit the mantle of pro basketball. Indiana State's opponent in the national championship was Michigan State, captained by the immortal Irvin Magic Johnson. The Sycamores lost the championship.
They was
to the
together
more
from
talented Spartans,
way
the
back.
highest rated game in the history of basketball at any level, still to this day. The stage had been set. The next decade of basketball would be defined by the rivalry between the white hick from French Lick and his Boston Celtics and the black Magic and his Showtime Lakers. The rivalry between Bird and Johnson is entwined into the fabric of the NBA and is worthy of 100 documentaries. In this video, though, we're going to be looking at Bird's claim of supremacy. Here's Bird's basketball resume.
3 championships, 3 regular season MVPs, 2 final MVPs, 12 All-Star selections, 10 All-NBA teams. I think that says 9 first team, 1 second team.
3 championships come with perhaps the highest collective degree of difficulty of any player's championships. His 3 MVPs came consecutively, making him only the 3rd player to accomplish the feat, along with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. His 2 finals MVPs are misleading. He was absolutely the best player on the '81 Celtics, but he was only a sophomore, and his 15 points per game in the finals gave the media an excuse to exact a little vengeance on a legendarily difficult interview. His all-star and first-team selections also come with the caveat that Bird only played for 13 seasons and missed all but 6 games of the '89 season following surgeries on both feet. I can hear you already. A 13-year career, and this guy is supposed to be the GOAT? What color of paint are you huffing, Clayton? Green, obviously. But hear me out. Yeah, Bird's career lasted about 2/3 as long as it should have. But what he did in that time was so impressive and so substantial that every basketball fan acknowledges that he's in the conversation as the greatest ever. Doesn't it matter that those 13 years saved professional basketball, delivered a disproportionate amount of memorable moments, defined the golden age of the league, and produced a career by which all other forwards, before or since, are measured? Bird squeezed every drop of talent out in those 13 years and made it seem more like 30. He didn't just leave his fingerprints on the game. He left so much of his DNA in the sport that it needed a cigarette afterwards. There's something to be said about the candle that lasts half as long but burns twice as bright. Those 3 MVP years stack up with any other run by any other player. I will put an A+ Larry Bird season up
26 a
against
game.
anyone's. What does an A+ Larry Bird season look like? A full box score, a blowout win, a nearly undefeated record at home, and a play style that could only be described one way: white. Larry Bird isn't just a white basketball player.
Crazy player.
He's the white basketball player. To describe Larry Bird's game is to thumb through the Hoops dictionary and pick out every cliche about white players. Unathletic, great shooter, good fundamentals, the whole thing. The archetype of a
Definitely
white
is a
basketball player
cliche.
is Larry Bird, with one exception.
That is not
He
the
had
case.
An unparalleled understanding of the game of basketball, both as a physical contest and as a mental competition. His basketball IQ
So tough.
infected everything he did and catapulted his career into legend. Bird was a complete player. Jerry West called him nearly as perfect as you can get. He was
I said this in my last video when I reacted to Larry Bird's Ultimate Mixtape. He's just an amazing passer. You know, he has amazing court awareness. Well, the true thing that I love about Larry Bird is that how hard he played. Like he played as if that was his last game every day. So I feel like by me watching these videos and by me, you know, getting the comments from you guys and, you know, me doing my little research here and there, a lot of new things that I learn every time I, you know, start to watch these videos about Larry Bird. Yeah, he's very intriguing.
the league's first great marksman. He could contort his body to shoot from anywhere on the court, regardless of the level of defense. He pioneered the art of the dagger 3 and was the founding member of the 50-40-90 club. At 6'9", Bird's understanding of angles and coordination led to a higher rebounding average than Patrick Ewing, and it made him an impressively adept finisher in his younger years. 86, Bird dropped 47 points on the Blazers, playing the majority of the game left-handed.
That's crazy.
His lack of quick lateral movement meant that Bird didn't do much when it came
Left-handed?
to slapping the floor and picking up the opposing point guard, but his size and omniscience gave him the ability to body similarly sized players, read defenses like a free safety, and pick off passing lanes with ease. His passing was transcendent, and I'll highlight it later. And
Exactly
of
what I was
course, you
saying.
need to know that Larry Bird was a tough MFer. He had a superhuman motor and dove for loose balls like a beagle in the park. He was a willing participant in his share of fights, often precipitated by his league-renowned trash talk.
Larry Bird told Robert Reed he should have stayed in preaching. That was funny. He had 50 points. I was guarding in my rookie year. He looked at me and he goes, "You can't stop me." And I looked at him and I said, "Gosh, boy, you're so confident." He proceeded to score like 10 straight points on me. Coach took me out the game. He walks by and he's laughing at me.
He was a basketball genius. He'd be a step ahead, a thought ahead.
I love when players they know they're so good and they can talk a lot of shit, but also back it up. That's the best part about this whole thing.
Play the game like a chess game.
I'd much rather guard Michael Jordan than Larry Bird because you have to play the game as a thinker when you play it, and you have to get inside his mind.
If you put all of us in a room, you know, Magic, Jordan, myself, and Bird probably be the guy who walks out of the room at the end of the day.
Did you notice something during those testimonies? Those are some of the best basketball players of all time, and they all sing Bird's praises like they were former assassins who had to go toe-to-toe with John Wick, and they're just happy to be alive. Bird excelled during one of the most talent-rich periods in league history. The abridged list of his basketball rivals goes like this: Dr. J and Moses Malone on the Philadelphia 76ers, Sidney Moncrief on the Milwaukee Bucks, Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer and the Bad Boy Pistons, Dominique Wilkins on the Atlanta Hawks, Bernard King on the New York Knicks, Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson on the Houston Rockets, and of course, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the Los Angeles Lakers.
That was a tough era. That was a tough era. I hate when people from this generation talk about they were plumbers and it was not a skill back then. And I mean, like, go watch these guys. Go watch what they had to go through to win. Like, the defense was at an all-time high, probably, if not the highest at this time. You know, like, it was just so, I feel like players were fatigued at that time because of how strenuous the league was. And I also feel like, you know, this era of basketball transformed what we have today. All right, hold on. Let me get back to it.
Of talking head sport cliches that surely impact the game but are impossible to empirically measure. Normally, I'd agree with you, but I think that when you talk about Larry Bird, you see those intangibles become real, palpable results. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe it. When Larry Bird was drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1978, the NBA needed saving. Attendance was in the toilet.
Oh, man, hold on.
Sixers, Sidney Moncrief on the Milwaukee Bucks, Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer and the Bad Boy Pistons, Dominique Wilkins on the Atlanta Hawks, Bernard King on the New York Knicks, Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson on the Houston Rockets, and of course, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the Los Angeles Lakers. Alright, there's no point avoiding it any longer. We have to look at Magic versus Larry. If you have Magic over Larry, it's because he has 5 rings to Larry's 3, had a peak that lasted about 2 or 3 years longer than Larry's, and had a 2-1 record against Bird's Celtics in the finals. Perfectly legitimate, completely respectable arguments. But in the interest of making Bird's case, allow me to retort. For nearly the entire decade of the 1980s, the Eastern Conference was irrefutably the more competitive conference between the two. Considering the competition, for Bird to have made 5 finals appearances is just as impressive as Magic's 9. As for the head-to-head record responsible for Magic's 2 extra titles, he had more help. Seriously, the Celtics' Big 3 and the Lakers' Big 3 get compared all the time historically as if they were of equal caliber, but weren't Magic's accomplices just a step above Bird's? No disrespect at all to Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, but Kareem was the alpha dog on the 71 Bucks and was the best player for at least 2 of the Lakers' 5 titles.
That skunk is crazy.
James Worthy was the #1 pick out of UNC after winning a championship as the best player on a team that had Michael Jordan on it. Throw in the fact that Magic got to be coached by Pat Riley, one of the most brilliant minds in basketball history, and you could say that the Magic Bird argument comes down to one thing: luck. So if their careers come down to luck, the question just becomes who you would rather take. Now, I'm not making this video to tell you why you shouldn't take Magic. I'm making this video to tell you why you should take Bird. Not just over Magic, but over everybody. One thing that helps him is the fact that his play would translate perfectly into the league today. A 6'9" sharpshooting forward with eyes in the back of his head who averaged double-digit rebounds in an era against Moses and Laimbeer. He'd gobble up boards as a power forward. He'd be an offensive mismatch against everybody as a small ball center, and his off-ball skills and passing would pair perfectly with the flow of today's game. Add in
Clutch.
his competitive mania and 3 generations worth of medical advancements, we're talking about a player who could have stuck around so long they would have had to rename the league. As you've been watching these clips of Bird, I would hope that you would notice something. He always knows where everybody is. Watching Bird play basketball is like watching those monsters from A Quiet Place that know where you are if you make any noise at all. Bird had a level of clairvoyance that bordered on the unnatural. In '85, he ended up 1 steal away from a quadruple-double after playing just the first 3
Double was
quarters.
crazy.
His passing was famously infectious and helped transform the Celtics of the 80s into an ideal that basketball teams at all levels are still shown tape of. They moved the ball with
That's that
precision
grit,
and intent,
defense.
always looking for better shots and determined to get the entire team involved in the effort. That fact is almost entirely attributable to Bird and his wizardry.
So
with the ball.
unselfish.
This acumen also helped Bird become the only player with a GOAT claim to transition successfully into other basketball roles after his playing career. In his 3 years as the head coach of the Pacers, Bird won a Coach of the Year award, coached the Pacers to their first and only finals appearance, and gave Michael Jordan as much trouble as he'd ever gotten in his career in the '98 Eastern Conference Finals. After moving into a front office role for Indiana, he won Executive of the Year in 2012, becoming the
Did it
only
all.
person
He
to
did it
win
all.
MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year award. On the court or off of it, inside and out, Larry Bird sees basketball as only he can. That intelligence also lent itself to Bird's defining skill, making the big plays. Remember, NBA players get paid to win games.
Hard-walking,
James
tough
Harden
shot.
is getting paid nearly $40 million this year because he's supposed to help the Rockets win games. Victory can be achieved in a lot of ways, and the win column doesn't care how it happens. As Mark Sinclair once said,
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
but when your team is down 1 in a crucial playoff game with 8 seconds left, and you need to hit a shot to stay in the series and keep your season alive, that's where players really separate themselves and earn their money. Love it or hate it, it's the players that come through in the big moments that live forever in our memories. Some players, for whatever reason, were never able to do it consistently. Some players were truly outstanding at it. Larry Bird was the best at it. I'm not going to give you the stats about his field goal shooting under 2 minutes with a score that's this close, or tell you who has the most buzzer beaters, or any of that.
Take that for data.
I'm just going to show you clutch moments in clutch situations. 1985 against the Blazers. Bird drops 48 points, including this. Down 1 with 2 seconds left.
Bounce pass, they double teaming Bird. Larry, fake, fall away.
That's so tough. Tough
1985
shot.
against the Hawks. Bird sets the Celtics scoring record with 60 points with shots like these.
They open the right side. Bird the away.
So
That's the best shooting I've ever seen.
1986 against the Rockets. Not all of Bird's clutch moments were singular. The bigger the moment, the bigger his performance. In Game 6 of the 1986 NBA Finals, Bird clinches the championship with a triple-double in what he calls the best game he ever played.
gotta stay on him. Just let him walk to the 3-point line. It's crazy.
1987 against the Washington Bullets. Bird hits 1 shot to tie it before it's waved off because of a timeout. Hits another shot to tie it up for real.
Crowd is standing up. It goes now to Bird. Bird goes up top.
And then in double overtime, down 1, he does this.
It's gonna go to Bird.
Off with 1 foot. It's crazy. It's crazy.
For 3 years, from 1986 to 1988, the three-point contest knew no other champion but Larry Bird.
Boy was a marksman. Do y'all think? I know we all know Steph Curry's probably the greatest 3-point shooter, but I think Larry would have gave him fits. I think he would have gave him fits. That's just my take. What y'all think?
'87 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5. Tied at 2 games apiece against the Bad Boy Pistons, this enormous game would put the winner 1 game away from the NBA Finals. The Pistons are up 1 with seconds remaining. The ball goes out of bounds off the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas just needs to inbound the ball to win the game. There are truly too many big games and big moments for me to go through without this ending up as a documentary.
Yeah, he
But
was
that all leads
clutch.
me to this, what I really want to talk about. 1987, NBA Finals, Game 4 against the Lakers. LA is up 2-1, and the Celtics need to win to tie the series and stay alive. Bird hits a 3 with 12 seconds left to go up by 2.
Pass. Got a shot.
Kareem comes down and gets fouled with 8 seconds left. He makes the first, but misses the second. LA ends up with the ball with 7 seconds left, down 1 point.
In the low post, being guarded by Dennis Johnson.
Byron Scott is in the ballgame now. Magic hits this, the baby skyhook.
That's tough.
2 seconds left, down 1.
Dennis Johnson on the inbound. Bird fires it.
What do you think happens?
It went in.
Why
Ah.
wasn't that? When I paused the tape and the ball was hanging in the air, you thought it was going in.
I
Bird
did.
thought it was going in. Magic thought it was going in. I've seen this game before, and I still think it's going to go in. But it didn't. Pat Riley said it himself. We got lucky. And then a missed shot in the NBA Finals is why he's the clutchest. Because after he makes the big plays, has the big games, hits the big shots, time and time again, you expect him to hit every shot, to win every game. And in those fleeting moments when he doesn't, when he looks like a mere human, when he looks like everyone else who tries to
That
do
shit
what he
hurt.
does, you just can't believe it. That's what Larry Bird did. He made the big plays so often, you thought he was going to make them every time. He helped turn basketball into a global phenomenon, paving the way for every Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James who comes through our lives. He played basketball in its purest form and captained a team that is consistently ranked among the greatest of all time. He has the second highest win percentage in the history of the NBA, behind Magic by less than 1/2 of 1%, about 10 games. He was the complete package, a player with no holes in his game whatsoever. They called him Basketball Jesus. He didn't get that name without doing something extraordinary. He saved basketball. And he did it by playing it better than anyone else.
It's crazy. They called him Basketball Jesus, and he called Jordan in disguise as God. It's crazy.
Here's Magic at Bird's retirement in 1993.
Larry Bird said that there would be another Larry Bird one day. And Larry, there will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird. To the greatest basketball player ever,
Gave Miss
more
Flowers.
important, a friend forever.
Hey, everybody.
That's the end of the video. A lot of key points, a lot of statistics that, show me that Larry Bird was clutch, winner, a sharp shooter, always, made the good shots when it counted. So this further, makes me believe that Larry Bird is, in those top ranks. If he's not the GOAT, I got him in the top ranks of top players that ever played this game of basketball. Until next time, I'll be back. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later. I'm out.